you have this graph in The Fate of Rome. Yeah, you show human population over the last few thousand years. I assume that these two down spikes are both the bubonic plague, Yersinia pestis, right?
Yeah.
And so this is not like some small little nudge you can see. Like the overwhelming, I mean, other than the hyper-exponential growth in human population, the overwhelming, not just one, but the overwhelming two major features in human population going back the last 10,000 years is this one bacteria, right? One of the things you discuss in the book is that the collapse of the Roman Empire was a result of this one particular event.
Well, I mean, the period that I normally work on is sort of from the High Roman Empire, so like the glory days of the Pax Romana in the 1st or 2nd century, which is usually where I start, through what we call the late antique or early medieval period, so the 6th or 7th century. And at the beginning of this period, Rome dominates this Mediterranean empire. It's what you think of when you think of ancient Rome. It's the largest city in the world. It's the center of this huge network. And then by the end of this period, the city of Rome has, we don't know, 50 to 100,000 people. It's a 10th or 20th of its former size. And I think we now can say pretty clearly that environmental factors like climate, but also especially diseases, play a part in that really big transformation. And well, there's a problem because we don't have the same kind of modern government mortality statistics that we do for like COVID or even for the last century or century and a half. We have to piece together from clues, but it's pretty clear that the bubonic plague events, whether you're talking about the Black Death of the 14th century, the plague of Justinian in the 6th century, these events are capable of causing death rates temporarily that are just orders of magnitude beyond what we're accustomed to. And even in these ancient societies, the reason why these were so shocking in a world where the death rate's always pretty high, probably several percent of the Roman population, 3-4% a year may be dying in a normal year. And so for them to just be utterly shocked by the death rate already tells you that it's some multiple of what they're accustomed to.
I think you discuss in the book the possibility that the death rate might have been close to or even over 60% wherever the Black Death. So this is not just like this is like literally the most significant thing.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. And I mean, in the case of the Black Death in the 14th century, it's pretty clear. It kills 50-60% of the population in entire regions. We don't necessarily think that it killed 50-60% of the whole continent, although that's actually not impossible.
Right.
But even the fact that it's killing 50% of the people in cities, in provinces, in countries is just beyond the damage that other plagues do.
Right. And do you think that were it not for this like 60% mortality event, plus the fact that I think we haven't even discussed yet, this super severe cold snap, do you think that the Roman Empire might have otherwise just kept going? Because you discuss like there were these two previous other big pandemics. The empire still survives. I think Will Durant had this quote that the Roman Empire fell for longer than most empires have lasted. So do you think be similar to China? Maybe there were a dynasty collapses, but fundamentally the same sort of cohesive nation reemerges.
Yeah, I mean that's a great comparison, right? And not just sort of like decline and fall of dynasties, but also like geographic changes in the configuration that parts get added and parts get cleaved off, but you still kind of think of it as fundamental continuity in the core. Like that, to me, is a very, very plausible counterfactual. Like Justinian, the emperor in the 540s, he reigns from the 520s to the 560s. He's on a path of success. He's retaken Africa. He's mostly retaken Italy when the plague hits. Like, to me, a very plausible counterfactual is that a more or less Mediterranean core of the Roman Empire could have survived east and west. So it does sort of survive in the east, but even including really all of Italy, Africa, and probably Spain, that would have been to me a very, very reasonable outcome of the 6th century if you hadn't had this kind of random shock. That there would be this, the Roman Empire would keep going. And remember, it does, and it calls itself the Roman Empire until the 15th century. But we would think of it as maybe more sort of like really the Roman Empire if it still included the Western Mediterranean and was this major, powerful, urbanized polity that resists invasion from the southeast, as happens in the 7th century. So yes, the answer is like I think that the Roman Empire absolutely could have had another turn, sort of as the thing that we kind of mean when we say the Roman Empire, this pan-Mediterranean, powerful urbanized empire.